Someone lying right across my chest. You're very nice to wake up to, Archie. Aren't you? Little boy. Think I can get up and make a cup of tea now? Scrummy banana, aren't you? Give me a wash. Thank you. Hi, I'm Shoestring Jane and welcome back to day 19 of Vlogmas. Woo! Day 19, we're nearly there. Let's do our Advent of Change calendar for day 19. I'm apologising in advance for the cat because she's in an absolute chatty mood. She won't stop shouting at me on cue. Doesn't want to go out and has already been fed. So I don't know, I think she just wants to sit on me, but unfortunately that's not happening. So today, number 19, Big Change is our charity. Today you have helped students across 15 schools in Manchester work together to design a wellbeing survey to support their mental health. That is a good one actually. Mental health in young people is a massive issue, isn't it? I know, I don't know why you're shouting so much. Archie will come down and then you'll run away. He'll chase you if you keep shouting, won't he? Silly girl. Anyway, so today I thought I would talk about YouTube channels that I've been enjoying this year. And the reason I thought about it was because I was going through YouTube last night to find something to watch. And Izzy has been stolen my computer basically while she's been here. And oh goodness, we watched such different things. She's really into real crime and kind of social things like how different people live with massive families or teenage pregnancies, and it is interesting some of the stuff she watches, but it's not really something I'd spend a lot of time myself watching. I thought it's just a kind of different viewpoint, a different age maybe, I don't know, but I was looking at some of the things that I do watch on my history that I watch regularly and I'm always watching this year, and I think generally anything that's got a haul on it, unless it's a second-hand charity shop haul, I just avoid it like a plague. I'm sick to death of hauls. People just constantly having hauls of Temu or Shein, cheap old rubbish items that are going to end up in the bin, most of them, or landfill, and just kind of seem to exemplify our unhealthy consumerist attitudes where we just want to spend. We don't really care what we spend it on and we don't really give it a lot of thought. So I really avoid anything like that. Even my favourite YouTubers that I watch regularly, if they do a haul like that, I'm just switch off. I'm not interested in that. So I do hauls on here, but the only hauls I ever do on here are charity shop hauls and the odd Aldi or Lidl shop. So you won't find a lot of hauls on my channel. Somebody I've enjoyed a lot over the last couple of years is a lady called Gita Mary Johansson. I think that's how you pronounce it. It might be Johnson, how you pronounce her name. She's Danish and she's really clever and she's like an eco queen. She really is clever though. She's not just somebody who's done the odd bit. She actually does this for a living. She's a professional environmentalist and talks a lot about how we can be more eco-friendly. She started out as a zero waste kind of vlogger, but she says that, you know, it's too much to expect perfection, which I think is encouraging, because when you look at some of those zero wasters on Instagram and YouTube, you think, oh, that's so difficult, especially if you've got a family. It's so difficult to live like that because society doesn't make it easy for us to live zero waste, and then you end up thinking, well, I'm not good enough, and then you go the other way again. So I think being realistic is good, and she's clever. She, as I say, she's realistic. She looks at lots of different aspects of life. She calls out the greenwashing from lots of different companies, and she's just really interesting. She's just really, really interesting. So I recommend her if you haven't discovered her already. She's a very interesting woman and funny as well. She's also a vegan cook and there's some vegan food on there as well, if you like that kind of thing. I have liked for several years what Vivi did next. I love Vivi. She's so real. I don't know how she lives on the amount of money that she lives on. I mean, if you want extreme frugality, with a total positive slant, then Vivi is your woman. I've watched her journey from kind of really mainly being a gardening channel, a lot of kind of gardening stuff. She had a big allotment, she still has, and she basically fed herself from the allotment, and she's moving away from that a little bit now because she will be moving to a different area. She won't have that kind of garden. She's got terribly arthritic knees and she can't manage it anymore. So she's kind of moving towards more kind of crafting and frugality and books and that kind of thing. But I really like her attitude. I think she's really interesting as a person, and like I said, I just don't know how she lives on what she lives on. She's very, very good with money, but she doesn't. She's never. I've watched some people who live on very little, and it's very kind of sad, and it reflects probably most people's experience of living on really very little. It's not really fun, you know. After a while, it stops being fun. And I'm in a better position now because I've got a couple of pensions coming in. But before that, you know, it was. I tried to keep very positive, and I made frugality a hobby. But every now and then, it would just grind you down. And some of those channels do feel a little bit like they're just being ground down. So they're quite discouraging to watch in some ways. So there's some that I don't watch so much now. But Vivi is not one of them. She's very, as I say, she is very positive. Somebody else on a similar kind of line, but she's American, Ellen's Abundant Life. I've only discovered her recently. I have a sip of coffee. Because I sit here with my cup of tea or coffee, chat, and forget to drink it, and then end up with a cold cup of tea or coffee. Ellen's Abundant Life. She's a 70-something American, and just the title of her channel, you can tell she's quite positive about it. She's living on a small income. She manages her money really well, and she just takes you through day by day. She always starts with her coffee, her morning coffee, and a little chat and look at her budget, and then she goes on to more general chats. It's a very gentle channel, so that's quite worth looking at. And another favourite is Bealtony Cottage is Colette in Ireland, who is an amazing woman who basically took this farm cottage it was surrounded by just kind of defunct arable farmland that it was just not very good, and has turned it into an oasis of trees. It's just amazing. She's made a woodland from scratch in about 20 years, and it's just so encouraging, uplifting, and inspiring, because you think, well, if she can do that on very little money, then I could do a lot more in my back garden to make it wildlife friendly and get some more trees out there and that kind of thing. We all can. So it's just amazing. You think, but if there were more people doing that kind of thing, creating a kind of permaculture garden, she calls it, although she's not a strict permaculture, I don't think, and just making an amazing, wonderful life on very little, then, you know, the world would be a better place. So I encourage you to have a look at her. If you're very strictly religious, then you might not like her. It's just to warn you in advance, because she is a pagan, and she's Celtic pagan, and she does quite a lot about that kind of thing. But I think it's, you know, it's not something that I believe in, but I find it very interesting, so I like it. And another one that he hasn't done much this year at all is Mossy Bottom. He was another one based in Ireland. He's a very gentle, intelligent soul. He got this derelict cottage and piece of land several years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, maybe even longer. And I only discovered him in the last year or so. And he turned it into a little small holding, and he had his dog, and he always says he's an introvert, and so it's a perfect existence for him. But he was just together, he's just a together person. And then all changed this year. He went very quiet. Turned out that he had met somebody, and they'd kind of moved on, were doing different things, and he put Mossy Bottom up on the market and sold it. And then he had a new video recently where he showed they have gone to Finland, of all places. So they've moved to Finland and they have a child now. I'm really hoping he'll put out a lot more videos showing their journey in Finland this year, because how interesting. I mean, they're obviously constrained by the fact they don't want a mortgage, they want some land, they want to grow their own food. Excuse me. So, you know, they are restricted with where they can go to do that. But they opened up those restrictions by looking worldwide, really, you know, to see where can we go, where can we have a good life, get a decent amount of land in the country, you know, somewhere really lovely that suits their kind of tastes and their personalities. And so that's what they've done. So I'm really, really hoping that they're going to find some time to put some more videos up this year. It's worth watching his old ones though, if you want to. So it's really interesting. Who else do I like? Somebody else that I've discovered is another American, Carefree Living, this year. She doesn't show her face, so she's not to show her face, but she shows all about her life. And she obviously lives on a very, very limited income and makes the best of it. So she goes to food pantries and gets a lot of food. She goes to charity shops and gets everything she needs for her little home. And she goes to the tip shop, or to the tip. I think she looks like she can just go in and help herself. Can't do that in the UK. Once things have been left in the tip, you can't have them unless they happen to have a tip shop, and ours doesn't, unfortunately. But I know lots of people do find fantastic things that are saved from the tip, and I like that, really. So Carefree Living, she is worth looking at, and she's super organised and obviously just making the best of what she's got. So I like that as well. Somebody else that's new, relatively new to me, who was suggested by one of my viewers, is Diane in Denmark. She's so positive. She's a Scottish woman who lives in Denmark. I think she started out just doing fly lady stuff, so it was all about cleaning, but has kind of now gives more of a lifestyle. I think she does a lot of herg, and obviously she's in Denmark, so she knows about these things, about getting cosy in the winter particularly. And she does wild swimming. She goes for cold water, ice water swimming most days, which I think is amazing. She's doing VLOGMAS, so you could have a little look and that'll give you an idea of her channel. So she's such an uplifting woman. She's so perky and happy, and I like that. So she's quite nice. And another one is Raising Wild Flowers, and she's an American woman who moved with her family from Florida, and I was watching her quite a lot when she was still in Florida, living on very little again, very switched on with her finances. So they had a mortgage-free home in Florida because of good choices she made when she was younger. And but they decided to jack it all in, sell up and buy an RV and live in an RV, which I think, well, it's, you know, it's huge adventure. It's a great adventure. Lots of people have criticised her for moving her family from a really kind of secure situation where they had their mortgage paid off to an RV, which is obviously not going to appreciate over time, but I think she knows what she's doing, and she's investing the money from the house so that when they decided that they've had enough of living on the road, that they'll go back and buy themselves a house. I'm quite sure of that. So she's quite an interesting woman. I would check her out. A very random thing that I watch, which is nothing to do with frugality. I don't know how I came across it, but it's an English woman who, I'm not quite sure where she lives. I think sometimes she lives in Indonesia and sometimes she's in other places. Live abuse free. And she is a qualified therapist and works mainly with people who have lived with narcissistic abusers. But she does these really interesting videos on people you know, usually, not always, people you might know. She did very interesting observations on Amber Heard and Johnny Depp when they were going through the courts. People that are kind of well known for murdering their families and things like that. People that had appeared, I think one was called Chris Watts. I hadn't heard of this case, but I watched it through her, who appeared to be, you know, a lovely family man, but then ended up killing his wife and his 2 children, which was really tragic. But she goes into the kind of the mentality of people like that, and you know, why perhaps they became like that. And I find that really interesting, but it's not everybody's cup of tea. And I think my daughter Izzy would like it, as going on about her true crime type thing. But it is I find it interesting to see how people's minds tick and what makes these kind of people the way they are, really. So that's quite good if you like that kind of thing. I'm really glad to see Tess FrugalLiving back. She's been very quiet this year, but I've done some collaborations with her in the past, and I really like Tess. So if you don't know her, check out Tess FrugalLiving. She's just doing the odd one now. She's not setting herself up to do a very regular schedule because she knows that she can't. She's got a busy life. Frugal Queen in France, obviously. Well, I've watched her from the beginning, and done some collaborations with Jane as well in the past. So she's gone from strength to strength with her husband Mike. I mean, when we started chatting, she had about 4,000 subscribers. She's now got 30,000 subscribers. They're very motivated, very organised. She's just generally, I think, both of them. And they're very inspiring and instructional. So check out Jane. You'll probably know Frugal Queen in France already. I like a couple of eBay resellers. Nick and Andrea Hills I've watched on and off from the beginning, and they're very good especially if you're just starting out. But I kind of gone off the boil with them a little bit because it gets a bit samey, I think, after a while. I still like Carla Jenkins. I started watching her because she was a reseller, but continued to watch her because she's just got a very big personality and she's just funny. However, she does do hauls. If I see a haul, I'll just switch off. I don't always like the hauls, as I mentioned before. And one that I've discovered in recent months is a reselling couple from the UK, married to reselling. And I love watching them because they're quite funny. They bounce off each other, but they buy a lot from auction. And I'm fascinated with the kind of vintage stuff that they get from auction. Some of it's rubbish, some of it's amazing, and what they think they're going to sell it for, what they do sell it for. So there's something I would like to do. I still haven't really got into that. I keep looking at the auctions. I'm a bit scared. I don't know where to start. My mum used to do auctions a lot with my dad, so I might take mum along. She can kind of give me some tips. I just want to have a look really and see what goes on. And I'm interested in buying the boxes of house clearance stuff really, because I'm selling more bric-a-brac now. So married to reselling. So those are the ones that I've been watching a lot recently from my history. Interested to hear what you watch and what you enjoy watching. So hit me up in the comments and let me know what you watch, what you recommend to everybody else, and I'll check them out. Anyway, so that's day 19 done. I'll see you tomorrow for day 20. We're getting very, very close to Christmas now. And if you enjoyed this, don't forget to give me the thumbs up and subscribe to my channel so you can see what comes up in the future. I'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.